And in our first story, the Bank of Ghana on Wednesday granted a universal banking license to a new bank. It's called the Consolidated Bank Ghana Ltd and it's established by government. And this was after the central bank revoked the licenses of the following banks: Unibank Ghana Ltd, the Royal Bank Ltd, Beige Bank Ltd, Sovereign Bank Ltd, and Construction Bank Ltd. The BOG has appointed Ni Amano Dudu of the KPMG as a receiver for the 5 banks. Dr. Enes Addison is governor of the Bank of Ghana.
That Ghana needs a strong and stable banking sector to drive the process of economic transformation, noting that a weak banking system does not help us because it does not help with access to credit and also accounts for the relatively higher lending rates that we have. The Bank of Ghana is mandated by law to promote the safety and soundness and stability of the financial system and to protect the interest of depositors. The Bank of Ghana has been introducing a comprehensive set of reforms with the twin objective of repairing and restructuring the financial sector to ensure that banks are well capitalized and strong to support the fast-growing and transforming Ghanaian economy, and also to ensure that domestically owned banks are further strengthened to participate actively in the economic and social transformation agenda. The asset quality review of banks conducted by the Bank of Ghana in 2015 and updated in 2016 identified a few indigenous banks as vulnerable with inadequate capital, high levels of non-performing loans, and weak corporate governance. In August 2016, the bank closed 2 of those banks. This is the UT Bank and Capital Bank, and approved the acquisition by GCB Bank of some of their assets and liabilities under a purchase and assumption agreement. Other banks that were more recently licensed in 2016 and also commencing operations in 2017 also began showing signs of distress due to existing vulnerabilities that were not disclosed at the time of their licensing. Efforts by these banks to extricate themselves from financial difficulty have not borne fruit. The situation has rather worsened for these banks.
And remember, we're going to comprehensively look at the actions or the announcements by the Bank of Ghana and also what this new consolidated bank will be all about and I guess the way forward for the banking industry following the enforcement of these regulations by the Bank of Ghana. Remember, Peter Namfuri as well as Norvan Akwahe. For they'll be talking to Kojo Yankson on the subject. Myself, I'll be outside. I will be on the campus of the University of Ghana Business School. We'll be speaking to Dr. Kutu. Dr. Kutu, Saint Kutu, is a Risk and Finance Management lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School. But we have to move on many other issues related to the subject, and we have to move on as well. The President, Akufo-Addo, has sworn in Jim Dukwe Mensah as a new electoral commissioner to take over from the Charlotte Osei-led commission. The executive director of the Institute of Economic Affairs will be deputized by the head of the Political Science Department of the University of Ghana, Dr. Eric Bosman-Asari, and the director of electoral services at the Electoral Commission, Samuel Tete. Corporate lawyer, Ms. Adjoa Isiama Brefa, has also been sworn in as a member of the commission. Well, let's move on to education. And the Methodist Education Unit is building capacity of heads of schools and teachers in second cycle institutions across Ghana in response to the newly introduced double track system to begin the next academic year. Heads of schools and teachers of the various Methodist schools were oriented to be abreast of the new policy to ensure that there's quality teaching and learning. Government is finalizing processes to roll out the double-track system in September in a bid to increase enrollment into its free senior high school education program. Nana Asensu Mensah filed this report.
Since last year, over 400,000 JHS graduates have flooded the limited public senior high schools. Infrastructural challenges with public SHS have necessitated the introduction of the double-track system. Amidst numerous critics of the new education policy, the Methodist Education Unit, however, has engaged stakeholders to embrace the program. The presiding bishop, Methodist Church of Ghana, Most Reverend Titus K. Awochi, urges teachers and other stakeholders to embrace the new policy to deliver quality education.
Government is introducing a new system which is not new. It had been in discussions for some time past. We knew it, but now it's being actualized. We do not know how it is going to work, but it is our hope and prayer that whatever the teething problems might be, we'll be able to control them. So it is our prayer that all in education will participate to ensure its success, because in the end, the Ghanaian child will benefit. And ultimately, Ghana stands to benefit from that. If the percentage of those who are educated is higher, those who receive quality education is higher, we will believe to have civil servants who will be responsible enough.
Very Reverend Mrs. Nana Denyame is Director General of the Methodist Education Unit.
And therefore our way of teaching, our methods, our ethos, we need to let them know. So as they come into our schools and as the students come in, we'll be better motivated to cope with the new trend. It's a very good policy. That's why we are doing this orientation for our heads, to accept the policy, strategize. We are going to brainstorm. We are going to listen to them. This morning, the Deputy Director General said, anything that will help improve this policy, they are prepared to listen. So basically, we are here to build our capacity to embrace this policy. Basically, we are here to appraise our performance, re-strategize to meet our targets.
Reporting for JoyNews, Nana Asensu Mensah.
Well, on the other side, poor sanitation and hygiene in Ghana's basic schools continue to limit the ability of children to attend school and play in a safe and a hygienic environment. And that's according to Vitens Evidence International, an NGO that is building some 100 toilet and washroom facilities for schools in the central region. Well, the Chief Executive Officer of the group, Marco Chilton, explained that the NGO would continue to use football and water to get school children in the region to understand the need to observe basic hygienic practices. Richard Kwejunyako has more.
This is one of several toilet and washroom facilities provided by Vitens Evidence International. The St. Monica's Basic School in Cape Coast is the latest beneficiary of the washroom facilities being built by the organization in the central region to improve sanitation. The organization says it is deeply concerned with the lack of washrooms in many basic schools across the country and will use football and water to whip up the interests of children in sanitation. Marco Chilton is the Chief Executive Officer of Vitens Evidence International.
So about 4 or 5 years I was here in Cape Coast. And at that moment, I visited the schools of Cape Coast. I also went to Elmina, and I saw the schools of Cape Coast, there is no water and sanitation. And I think that is strange. I think for the children, it is just right to have proper sanitation in your schools. It is part of your education. It is a life necessity. So what we did at that moment is we tried to talk to all kinds of partners to make that possible. To the local leadership at the time, we visited them, to the schools, to financiers, to the embassy, to all kinds of partners like Ghana Water, but also like Pronet. And together with all of these partners, we are here today for this very festive occasion.
The Omahino of Ogwa traditional area Osabe Makwesiata II, who chaired the handing over ceremony, urged the school to take the maintenance of the facility serious. He wants the school to safeguard the place to prevent outsiders from using the facility. About 70 schools have been provided with washroom facilities in the central region, with 30 more to be built across the region. Football was played and the children made to use water to wash their hands and asked them to use water to wash their hands after every activity to reduce the rate of infection. Richard Kwejonyako, Joy News, Cape Coast.
Well, good one there. But before we go, the Interim National Coordinating Committee of the Ghana Highways Authority, Retired Staff Association, is calling on government to expedite action on the payment of contractors in the road agencies for work done. The group is arguing that there's no reason for government to continue withholding the payment of contractors for works actually done since 2016. The chairman of the group, Nana Ninsen Mbia II, said payment of the arrears will put the road industry on track since it contributes immensely to the economy of the country.
The people are suffering. Contractors have workers, and the workers also have dependents. And if money is not flowing in the system, it means that we are creating some kind of havoc. We realize that most of the drains have been full to the brim, and when you get the roads in such a situation, the overflow of water onto the streets will create potholes, and it will make all the investment that has been done in the road industry actually gone to the drain, and we don't want that situation. So we have to quickly call the attention of government to the fact that they have to make sure that they have to pay the contractors, so that if money is flowing, routine maintenance can go on. People can be employed to silt the drains, for the water to get into the drains and run off, instead of staying on the roads for cars to fly through it and destroy the roads. When we don't have good roads, the country is dead, because you have to transport almost every goods and services by the roads. Presently in Ghana, the rail system is not good now. They are now trying to put it in shape. So if the roads also become bad, then of course you know that the economy cannot even grow.
And that's it for the latest news update. Look, we have more news. A lot of stories occupying the front and back pages, as well as even the center spreads of the various newspapers, just around the announcement by the Bank of Ghana consolidating 5 banks into one consolidated bank. One thing though, if you're a depositor with any of these 5 banks, don't be worried. Your deposits are safe. Safe, safe, safe. So don't worry. And we'll be discussing all that. Mama Vioso Abwaje, Kujo Yankson, myself will be right here just reviewing the newspapers. We'll look at myjoyonline.com preferably. And then also we'll look at the Africa page of the BBC. An election that took so long to announce. Those were the days I thought, but that's what's happening in Zimbabwe, and the opposition has had its people on the streets, and it's led to some casualties following some engagement with the army of the Zimbabwe military. So we'll bring you all the latest updates right when we do the reviews. Stay on, we'll be right back.